be fine. Still in such a huge confusion over trans rights versus women's rights. Yesterday, he said that transgender women, i.e. men, do not have a right to access female-only spaces, even if they have a gender recognition certificate. Asked by J.K. Rowling, do biological males with gender recognition certificates have the right to enter women-only spaces? She said it's a simple yes-no question. He replied, no, they do not. They don't have that right. They shouldn't. That's why I've always said biological women's spaces need to be protected. A, he hasn't always said that, and B, if you claim that trans women are women and that, 0.1% of women have penises, why shouldn't those women, in his eyes, be able to use women's toilets?
I mean, Julia, look, if we're serious about stopping sexual violence against women, then you should be focusing on the fact that there's an epidemic of sexual violence by prison officers against women prisoners. But women's shelters, women who've been beaten up by their husbands, have almost been destroyed by Tory cuts. And people who care about women's safety are focusing on those issues.
No, actually, a lot of women who care about women's safety are also focusing on, is it a good idea, given minority of males and their violence against women, that we should allow more males into women's only spaces, including prison cells as prisoners, including refuges, and including toilets and changing rooms?
Of course, women are disproportionately likely to support trans rights, just like they're disproportionately likely to support...
I support trans rights. I support trans rights.
Yeah, OK.
What was the What does the mean? I think the trans people should have the same rights as everyone else.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that you believe that, Julia.
But that doesn't include having the rights of other people which they don't have a right to. So you don't get to have the right to use a woman's space that is only meant for women for a good reason if you're a man. You can trans people can call themselves whatever they want. They don't have they don't have the right to require me to call them a woman if they believe they're a woman when they're not, and they don't have the right to enter into my and other women's safe spaces. But Keir Starmer and the Shadow Cabinet haven't been clear on this.
I think the interesting thing to me is that the anti-trans lobby has been so efficient.
Pro-women lobby.
The media and political establishment support. Right? They've been very efficient at doing that.
Are you kidding me? Sorry, Richard. Are you kidding me? We are fighting a backlash against the complete taking over of virtually every institution in this country, public, private, government, civil service, media, everywhere. We are fighting we are absolutely the minnows in this fight.
Well, that's interesting because every single media outlet constantly pumps out headlines about this, basically supporting the anti-trans lobby. But after 10 years
they absolutely don't.
After 10 years of this, all the polls show that this remains far, far down the list of the public's political
All
priorities.
the polls show a massive fall in support for the trans ideology that pushes that a trans woman is a woman, because people are waking up going, OK, this is clearly a nonsense. We wanted to be kind, we wanted to be nice, we wanted to be welcoming and everything. But actually, at the end of the day, that has allowed men who are actually predators to exploit those rights which were given to trans people to live a nice, quiet life on their own, and getting on with their own business. No issue with any of that. But now Labour want to make it even easier for a predator to basically wipe his slate clean, live pretending as if he's a woman, that he was born a woman, and gain access to women-owned spaces. If a man's got a gender recognition certificate, which he won't have to have an operation or any hormones or do anything at all for, if he gets that under Labour, what would stop him entering a women's only refuge or prison or toilet? He's got a birth certificate saying he's a woman.
So most people look at these TV debates about toilets and genitals, and they're like, why are you not talking about my energy bill? Why are you not talking about...
You don't talk to many women, then. Women care quite a lot about this.
Women, and women are disproportionately likely to support trans rights.
The women you speak to, Richard, I hate to tell you, the women you speak to, you know there are many, many women who are very concerned about this issue. And by the way, an awful lot of men as well, largely dads, I've noticed.
Well, I would suggest go to the countries where trans rights have been expanded in the ways that we're talking about, places like Sweden and Argentina, and you'll see their that the women's movements in those countries are firmly in support of trans rights, and the problems that you're describing haven't.
They haven't happened. We've never had a woman who has been put in a prison cell with a trans woman, i.e. a man who's been sexually assaulted. That's never happened? Because it literally has in this country. It's literally happened in this country. There are men right now in the women's prison estate, right now.
So that's not something that is dependent on gender recognition certificates. Those are separate subjects. And I would remind you that the sexual violence that most women prisoners are experiencing is coming from male prison officers.
Yeah, so let's let more men into prison cells, because that's when they'll be even safer, honestly.
Let's deal with the actual problem.
Let's deal with the actual problem, which is male violence against women, which is why we don't want men in our safe spaces.
So why aren't you campaigning against the Tory cuts that have got rid of women's refuges, Julia? That's the actual threat against women.
I have actually spoken out about that when that was in the news. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
When it was in the news, it's still happening. We've got so few women's refuges because of the Tory cuts that, you know, you supported the Conservative Party on and off.
No, I haven't. No, I've never supported I don't support any political party. That's simply not true. I don't. Anyone who listens to this show who thinks I'm just sitting there supporting the Tory, I don't think that's what the Tories think I'm doing.
I said on and off.
On and off. I support policies. I support people who introduce sensible policies. And if the policies aren't sensible, I support. I've never been on record saying, great, let's have some cut. I hate to tell you that the British people supported austerity. They voted the Tories back in after 2010. But anyway, I'm going to have to leave it there because we're over time. I would happily let you speak for longer. I know we're going to have you join us on 10 p.m. on election night, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. It'd be great to get you in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us. Richard Powside, very quick word to Claire on this. Claire Pearsall has been joining us. Your face through that was a picture, by the way.
My face just gives everything away. Well, I hate this anti-trans. If you don't agree with somebody, you're anti-trans, rather than just being pro-women. That's what I want to see. I want to see more people who are pro-women standing up for women's rights.
Yeah, exactly. It's not I'm not anti-trans at all. It's just protecting women and girls. Yeah. It's that simple, as most men and women, I think, in this country do feel.